Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Brian and Glenn in with you as usual, as we are every morning from 7 to 9. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. Delighted to have Jim Barker, the GM of the Argos, join us. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Brian. Glenn, how are you?
Good. Let me start off by asking you this, because a huge game for Hamilton tonight, and we've been setting the scene before you came on, Jim. So the Argos, according to all reports, are going to rest 8 starters in this season finale against the Ticats. And covering all sports the way we do, there's always that thing at this time of year, Jim, where this game means a lot to Hamilton, but it also means a lot to teams like Edmonton and whatnot in the league. What's your stance on not putting out your best team to sort of be fair to the other teams in the league when it comes to a game like tonight?
Well, I'll start with, it's kind of a misnomer when you say they're resting. It's players that have minor injuries that we're keeping out, and players from the first week on are hurt when they play, and it's just a question of how much and can they continue to play injured. So we're not just resting people. What we're doing is sitting out anybody who has minor injuries. With that being said, our obligation as an organization is to our fan base and our fans, and to get to the Grey Cup. Every decision that this organization makes is about winning the Grey Cup, and what does it take to win the Grey Cup. When I chose to step down as the coach, it was because I felt it was the best thing to win the Grey Cup. When we have players who we choose not to dress, it's about winning the Grey Cup and nothing else. And we don't, we earn this opportunity to be able to do what we need to do in this football game, and that's what we're doing. Our goal is that on November 11th, that we have our players as strong and fast and as possible. We're on a short week. We have 4 days between games, and when you have guys with minor injuries coming back and playing on 4 days rest, it just makes no sense to us for our organization to put those players at risk.
Jim, Chad Owens is chasing Pinball's CFL record for combined yards in one season. He needs 73 yards tonight against the Tiger Cats.
Never thought I'd see that broken, by the way, Glenn. Never.
I'm with you, but Jim, talk about what that means for Chad, but also for the Argos, and what that brings. Well, what it brings to your club.
Well, Chad has been since he got here, has been a great ambassador for the CFL and for the Argonauts. He loves the Argonauts, and I think Pinball has had a big influence on Chad.
Mm-hmm.
He's from the first time Pinball saw him return a ball, he knew he had something special about him, and so I think he's been a great influence on Chad in terms of what kind of a person and what kind of and how he represents the Argonauts. So to have a player break that record, like, I agree with you that I was surprised that this record is getting broken. But to have a player who has, for 3 straight years, been over 3,000 yards and has a chance actually to even go to 4,000 yards is just, it's mind-boggling when you consider it's never happened in pro football. And he's just, he's a great young man. There's an example of a guy that, if there was anybody we were going to rest, it would be Chad Owens. But this is not about resting. This is about players with minor injuries, and Chad feels, he's close to 100%, and that the short week isn't going to affect him at all. So it's going to be great for our fans to get to watch this. We're watching one of the great players in the CFL currently, and he's doing something that it's going to take a long time before somebody does it again. And I think it'll be great to have a lot of fans out there, to honor Chad when he does this.
Can I just further on that one? It has to do with his confidence, and I know he's a professional and everything, but he's had some fumbles lately, and something like this in accomplishing this type of feat. Do you think his confidence level might go up a little bit? Because I know he wears everything on his sleeve. He has a great big heart, and I know it probably angers him a lot having those fumbles and that. But doing something like this, I'm sure this accomplishment would just raise his confidence that much more.
Well, there's no doubt, and Chad's very confident as it is. The fumbles kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, All he wants is for the Argonauts to win. And if Scott would have gone to him and said, "Listen, we need you to sit out this week because we need you more, stronger for next Sunday," he would have done it in a heartbeat. And he's just a complete team guy that I think exudes confidence, and he makes guys around him great and confident and better. And that's the sign of a true star, when you can make those around you play better and play at a higher level. And like I say, Chad has been working very hard the last couple of weeks on the fumbling issue. He knows it's something he can't do, and it's the one flaw in his game, and he works daily on becoming a better player and improving his game, and so he knows that's one area that he really does have to work on.
Jim, a funny story Chad told. I heard an interview with him afterwards. There was a game he played. I don't know. He had another incredible game, like 350 all-purpose yards or something, but 2 fumbles, and he went home. And, of course, when you get home to your kids, they don't care. They don't think about you as the football player, the star. They just know Daddy's home, and they want to go to McDonald's or whatever it is. And he came into the house, and, of course, he just had all this glowing praise heaped on him. He went back, and he said, "Well, okay, you saw me out there. What do you think?" And the little guy looked at him and said, Dad, cover the ball, for goodness sake, brought him right back there. So Chad Owens, of course, the CFL Outstanding Player Awards were announced yesterday. You guys have nominated Chad Owens in the East, also Chad Simpson, the running back from the Bombers, along with Chris Williams of the Ticats, and of course Anthony Calvillo, who's won this award 3 times. For the sake of the fans who are going to the game and who are going to be watching the game on TV tonight, Jim, obviously Jarius Jackson's going to get the start. Everyone's seen him play, but tell us a little bit about the 2 other rookie quarterbacks that are going to play, Zach Collaros and Trevor Harris.
Well, Trevor Harris is a guy that he's from a small college, California University, and we first saw him when he was with Jacksonville. He's probably the most similar to Ricky. He's a very smart guy. He delivers the ball quickly. He's an accurate passer. He's very competitive. He's built along the same lines as Ricky, and is probably the one that's closest to him. Zach Collaros is a young guy from Cincinnati, and the current coach at Notre Dame, Brian Kelly, was at Cincinnati when Zach was there, and Zach was very, very successful as his quarterback. In high school, Zach was 60-1. He's just a winner. He's a guy that he does things a little. He is a drop back passer, but he's a guy that when he takes off to run, there's a play on YouTube of Zach. It's a 75-yard run against somebody, and when he was at Cincinnati, and it's just one of those spectacular plays. He's a guy who has got a little bit of magic to him, and when you look for a quarterback, once a guy like that gets a little bit of confidence and starts to understand the league, he can be very, very dangerous. So he's got a lot of. I'm very excited to watch those guys play. And again, that's another thing that this game affords us is the opportunity to see these guys they're not playing. This is not a preseason game. This is a game that means the playoffs for the team they're playing. So it gives you a much better gauge in terms of where they are, how far they come this year. In the preseason, they both looked very good. Now that they have a grasp of the offense, and they'll be doing a little bit more, knowing where they're at is really important for us moving forward, because we want to have a succession plan. We want to develop our own quarterbacks, and we feel these 2 young guys are going to be battling it out, and I'm really excited to watch how they play.
Yeah, me too.
Just speaking of Jarius Jackson, Jim, Scott mentioned yesterday that although he's going to get the start, he may only play for a quarter. That surprised me a little bit. I would have thought that he would have wanted Jarius to get as many snaps as possible, just in case something happens in the playoff game next week, and maybe Ricky goes down.
Well, again, that's one of the things I think getting a chance for the young guys to play is something that's important for this organization. And Jarius he played 3 games and has a good feel of what we're doing and that type of thing. And the other thing is the longer he plays, the more snaps he's in, the more injury that he risks, and I think that again, you want your team as close to 100% as you can have going into November 11th. So getting him some reps so that he can, like you say, get into rhythm and that type of thing. Dontrell Inman will come back. Again, he's a guy that needs to play. He needs to get on the field, and that's what he's going to do. So I understand your point, but I also believe that getting a quarter or so will be good for Jerry. It's best for this organization to get a chance to see these two young guys. You can't develop quarterbacks if they don't play in key spots, and that's the hardest thing with developing a quarterback. And this is a key game, and it's great that they're going to get an opportunity to play against a team that's going to be desperate for a win.
Mm-hmm. Why are you playing on Thursday night, Jim? Is this a TV thing?
I have no idea when the schedule comes out.
Yeah, I understand, but I just want to just seem strange that we'd be, especially when Edmonton's the late game, and all the games are on TS anyways. It was just a thought that I have. Listen, I did think that obviously the game in Saskatchewan, I thought, just my thoughts, that it was the most, complete type of game I've been looking for this team to play all year long. They shored up their defense compared to the one that got shredded at home by the Bombers beforehand. Do you agree?
There's no doubt. There's no question. We still took a few too many special teams penalties, but I thought we did a much better job on defense, and obviously the offense continued to roll. And when you play offense like that, it makes playing defense a lot easier. So that's a tough place to play, and our guys went in a game they needed to win to make this game meaningless, and they went in and got the job done. So they've been a very resilient team. We haven't been very good at home, and that's, knowing that the Grey Cup is here and that we're hosting a semifinal, that's
big.
Not something good. So it's important for us to get a win at home.
Really quickly, Jim, you have a player who kind of plays on the edge. Actually, got a couple of them, but Brandon Isaac, he had a hit on Buck Pierce, and that was talked about a lot, and he's been suspended for his hit on Darian Durant. And as a club, what do you guys say to him to try to keep him from being suspended, but at the same time keeping him playing on that edge, but not stepping over that line?
Well, it's very difficult because on that play, Brandon ran in and the game was on the line, and he saw Darian Durant getting ready to throw, and all his thought was not, I'm going to hit him in the head with my head. His thought was, I got to get there before he throws the ball. And this game is played at a very high speed. Mm-hmm. I don't for 1 minute believe that Brandon Isaac has ever tried to do anything like that. A player can't lose his edge. He needs to be cognizant, and he actually, in his hearing, he said that he thought about making sure he kept his head out, and then he moved his head a little bit to the side. Unfortunately, that didn't help. He still ended up, hitting him in the helmet. And so it's one of those things that, as a coach and an organization, we support Brandon. We don't in any way condone helmet-to-helmet hits. Those things do happen. And I can tell you this: Brandon Isaac is not a dirty player. He's not a player who's out to try to damage people. He's great in the community. He's he was disturbed about it, and but he really was just playing football. And for us, we have to continue keeping him playing at a very high level and being cognizant of keeping his head out of it, so that he doesn't, go helmet to helmet, because he's just too good of a player for us to not have in the lineup. And this league needs the quarterbacks. We need to keep people healthy. It's a lesson learned for Brandon, and he'll move forward from this in the playoff game, and hopefully, there won't be another situation like that.
All right, Jim, thanks so much for your time. I just ask you this question as we go. Hamilton, Toronto tonight, 7:30. Still lots of tickets to get down there to the Rogers Centre and see the game. And don't forget, the playoff game, the semifinal, is November 11th, Remembrance Day, at 1 o'clock at the Rogers Centre. Let's just say, just to speculate here, that Hamilton manages to win tonight and Edmonton loses. That means Hamilton is in. That means that's who you get in the semifinal, right?
That's exactly right.
And
so that's what makes this game even more intriguing.
That's right.
There's a possibility that if they end up winning tonight and Edmonton loses, that they will be right back here on November 11th, and that would be a barn burner to have these two teams playing in that kind of a rematch situation. So it adds intrigue to the game in terms of our coaches knowing that there's a possibility we could be playing this team again in 2 weeks.
Jim, thanks so much.
You guys would love to knock them out. I mean, that's a given.
No question.
Don't want to give him a second chance. Jim, thanks so much, and best of luck. I'll be in touch, and it sure is exciting. You know, there's so many of these little guys in the league that are just worth the price of admission. Chad Owens, I think of him. I think of, Chris Williams over there in that Ticats side. He's the fastest, smoothest little guy I've seen. They just can't seem to catch him when he gets in the open. And, of course, there's guys like Tim Brown. It seems every team in the CFL has got one of those little jitterbugs. Yeah. So big night for Chad Owens. I know you're very proud of him. And we'll see what happens when the trophies are handed out as far as being the most valuable player is concerned. Jim, good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, very good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jim.